Around the time that Eric Bloodaxe, the last Viking king in Yorvik, was banished, Yorvik expanded dramatically, with new streets, new churches, and a brand new style of houses. It was a busy place, with people arriving from all over the Viking world to visit, trade, and settle. In this multicultural society, people had different appearances, languages, religions, and possessions. Remains of part of this thriving city were found right here, and by carefully piecing together all of the archaeological evidence and what we know from other sources, you can now visit the Viking Age.
Kom här. Välkommen till Yorvik.
We have arrived by the River Foss. Ahead lies the city with countless houses and workshops, many of them newly rebuilt, some, like this damaged, a victim of an untended half-bout. As ships became more seaworthy, the Vikings created wider trading routes, sometimes using chains of middlemen to carry goods from one side of the Viking world to the other. Silks and the cowrie shell found here suggest trade with Central Asia, the Eastern Mediterranean and the Red Sea. It's possible that Arab traders like this man made their way to Europe to sell their goods. Slavers moved from Dublin and elsewhere, bringing with them the spoils of their raids or pillagings. Slaves were an important part of society all over northern and western Europe at this time. It looks like this slave trader is trying to make his way up to Copenhagen. But before we get there, let's have a look at some of the many craftspeople working here in the city. Here's Sigurd. He's using animal bones and antler and deer to make some everyday objects such as combs, comb cases, skates, and bone pins. Making a comb from antler could be very time-consuming, as the ones found here were made from many pieces riveted together and then decorated. We know that the Vikings liked to keep themselves well groomed, as we found many combs in the excavations, as well as items such as tweezers and even ear screws. We'll now head away from the river towards the street of Copenhagen and meet some more of the people who lived and worked here. Ahead, you can see a simple, single-story building. These older houses were built from posts and wattle and had earth floors and thatched roofs. Most of these houses went out of use in the middle of the 10th century when they were replaced by the oak-plank buildings that we'll talk about later. These early houses were built end-on to the streets and had long backyards with rubbish pits in them. It's not likely that they grew much food in the yards, but they probably kept animals there, such as those pigs you can see in the pen by the fence. From the many pig bones we found here, we know that Viking pigs were quite short and had a long snout like a wild boar. Pigs would eat almost anything, so would have been a great way to turn household waste into meat. Here's the blacksmith's house. Look inside and you can see his wife by the fire. Grummy, the blacksmith, is teaching his son how to sharpen a knife he just made. Viking Age smiths were masters of their craft, and here in Yorvik they made everything from needles to beautifully ornate panels. Now we'll go across to the next property and visit his neighbour, Unni, a wood-turner who lives in one of the new-style wooden planked buildings. Unni is making cups and bowls by turning wood such as oak or ash on his pole roller. You can see all the wooden core waste on the ground which children may have used as spinning tops. By the way, it's this trade that many think gave its name to Copenhagen, the street of the cup makers. Another building is being built behind Unni's house. Here, the cellar is being dug out and lined with oak planks before the upper story is added. You can see a stack of turfs over there that are going to be used to roof this building. Looks like the builders are having a rest though. This family also look like they're taking a break. The children are being taught to play Nefertari by their grandfather. We found a wooden gaming room and lots of playing pieces made from bone, wood and ivory, so it must have been a popular pastime. Let's go back towards the river where big trading ships have been that have come up from the North Sea. Here, traders are unloading their goods alongside fishermen cleaning their fish. Woods and raw materials from across Britain, as well as rare and valuable items from further afield, were brought into Yorvik here. Iron alloy bars from Britain alongside amber, sharpening stones and walrus ivory from Scandinavia, and good wine from the Rhineland. Yorvik was truly bustling, a vast international trading centre. Here's some fishermen cleaning their catch and mending their nets. Fish from the rivers and the sea were brought into Yorvik, and we found thousands of fish bones that tell us exactly what the people ate, which included lots of fish, eels, and even oysters. So these men are probably doing a roaring trade. Have a look at the man gutting the fish. His face has been reconstructed based on a skull that was found in York. Later on in the visit, we'll see more real faces like this. This next plot is a backyard where the people living there seem to have been dyeing their own cloth. The people of Yorvik spun fleece, then dyed and wove their own wool to make textiles from which they made their own clothes. Natural dye plants such as madder, weld, woad, and dyer's greenwood were all used to create shades of red, yellow, blue, and green. Vibrantly coloured clothes which certainly brightened up the streets of Yorvik. On this plot of land, there was a gully that contained dyed plant lace, suggesting that a dye bath had been tipped into it. Limestone lined that ditch running up to this next building, forming a passageway to the back door. We're still discussing whether these buildings were 1 or 2 story, but they all had rooms or cellars below ground level. As we travel through this 2-roomed house, you can imagine that the floor at the back is being built, and you can see the cellar below where goods are stored. Above this sunken room, the window openings are only small, so as you can see, it would have been quite dark inside these houses. In addition to the hearth, small pottery lamps and wax candles were used to create light so that the people who lived here could carry out their everyday tasks. In this front room, you can see a woman working at the loom, which was used to weave woolen cloth for clothing and blankets. We're now moving into Coppergate itself, an important commercial street right in the heart of the city of Yorvik. As you can see from these stores, you can buy almost anything. Coppergate is just one of the many streets in this city, which was home to more than 10,000 people. The streets of the city of Yorvik are covered in filth and mud, littered by carvings and with potholes everywhere. This leather worker seems to be having a problem sewing his shoe pieces together and looks like he has viking disease, a Dupuytren's contraction. You can see it's caused the fingers on his hand to become raw. It's a genetic disorder that runs in families and seen particularly in middle-aged men. Tradition has it that it originated with the Vikings, who spread it throughout northern Europe and beyond as they travelled and intermarried. This couple here are arguing about what to have for supper, meat or fish. It would seem that life hasn't changed too much over the last 1,000 years. They're arguing Old Norse, but if you listen carefully, you can hear Old English, Middle Welsh, and Old Irish all being spoken in this street. Here's a food seller trying to sell this wealthy-looking woman a cabbage of some sort. It doesn't look like the type of thing that would tempt her or her young baby. This woman looks like she's struggling to cross the road. We only found 2 complete skeletons in the excavations here. This one is based on one of them. You can see that she's walking with a crutch due to her hip problems and arthritis. You can find out more about her in the galleries to come. Here, we're in another of the new buildings. The first Vikings who came here were not Christians and worshipped their pagan Norse gods, but they seem to have adopted Christianity quite quickly. There is lots of evidence for there being a Viking-era church just behind Coppergate, and there were many other new churches built in Yorvik at this time. Here's a priest administering last rites. He would always have worn a stole face, as seen here, as it marked his priestly status. We found a very small, silk, pink-coloured reliquary pouch in one of the buildings. The embroidered cross on it suggests that it once held holy relics which have since disappeared and are now a mystery. Each property is separated from the next by woven wattled fences. We know from the 5 tons of animal bone found in the excavation that the people's diet was quite similar to ours, with lots of beef, pork and mutton, as well as poultry and fish. Supplying this food may have been one of the reasons for the major changes in the countryside we see around Yorvik at this time. In this backyard, animals have been slaughtered to provide meat and other resources. Body parts of cattle must have been a fairly familiar sight and smell around Viking Age York. As well as supplying meat, cattle carcasses also provided wool and home, both valuable resources for making everyday items. Stomach contents and cowdle were other byproducts of this slaughter. There must have been loads of flies breeding in rubbish pits and dumps across the city. The red car there on the fence would have been a regular visitor, scavenging in the city, particularly in the backyard like this. Toilets would also have been situated in the backyard. Pits in this yard were clearly used as latrines, as they were full of human waste, as well as moss, which was a type of Viking-age toilet paper. This man here doesn't look too happy to be disturbed, so perhaps we'll get him moving. Here, we are in our final house. In the excavations of Yorvik, we found a few Viking-age musical instruments, including a set of handpipes which can still be played. Music, saga-telling and poetry must have been important in the Viking world. Iceland and Scandinavia are culturally rich in storytelling, traditionally developed in Viking times.